Hello, thank you for tuning in to this section of reads. These readings are always valid for whenever you come to them. This is on YouTube channel James13 Wicca, just in case it's floating around somewhere else. That's where it's supposed to be. The card information and the dice, all that's down below if you're interested in what I'm using for these readings. I'm also, if you're near Herkimer, New York, I am doing in-person readings at Renewed and Rescued. Email me for details if you want an appointment. Thank you very much to those of you who've already reached out. I appreciate it. That's all I really have for this part. Besides that, if you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email, same information. Thank you very much for watching, and let's go ahead and get into your reading. Hello, Aries. Thank you very much for tuning in to this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Aries? Well, that's interesting. All right, let's see what we got here. You got like quite the mix right off the bat. Really good and really like, oh. Yeah. So is the life of Aries, I suppose. Yeah, but nothing's going to keep you down. All right, so what is going on here? Is it the politics of people? The politics of people, which doesn't have to be literal politics in the sense of like government, but like how people work with each other and how people get along with each other, how people treat each other for what reasons, that type of thing. You know what I mean? Sometimes people are nice when it suits them, and sometimes people are just pain in the butt only because they feel like they'll get what they want if they're a pain in the butt. This has a very odd energy to it because I feel like there's going to be frustration, but even though frustration comes in and out, I don't think anything technically goes bad. Like if you're reading it off of paper, I don't think anything would pop out like that was a bad moment. Like this happened, that happened, that happened, that happened. I don't see anything popping out like, oh, that was a bad moment. But I feel like every now and then I'm just like, oh, they're pushing it. I feel like that's coming up. Like, oh, they're pushing it. They're so pushing it. Feast or famine is also another thing. Feast or famine is a big thing here. This seems to be a point of contention for sure. Ironically, I do think within reason, Aries does like a bit of mystery within reason. It can't be ridiculousness. It can't be underhanded or like, manipulative in a negative way, whatever that means. A little bit of mystery, depending on where it is, Aries can roll with that to a point. There's limits, obviously. And I feel like whatever this situation is, could be work, could be romance. You got the Lover's card coming right up. Doesn't have to be romance, but it could be. It's kind of like, I don't know what's going on, but if it proves to be loyal, if it proves to be honest when questions are flat out asked, it can be okay. I don't know. I'm questioning. Like, I think the Aries is okay with some mystery. It depends what it is. It depends who it is, too. Depends who it is. That definitely matters. Mystery just for the sake of mystery? I don't know about that. But like, somebody throwing a surprise birthday party might not be that big of a deal. Depends who it is and who they invited, stuff like that. I don't know, I'm starting to feel like I'm treading on thin ice here. I feel like whatever this is, this situation has its mysteries, and it always has. It always has. But I feel like over the years, and I'm fighting with these cards I'm noticing. What are we saying with that? You've gotten better with the subject, whatever it is. It's not funny. It's funny, not funny, and I say that because it makes me laugh, but it doesn't mean it's funny. But, oh my god. In the past, maybe this was more... You maybe reacted quicker. Let's just put it that way. Maybe in the past, you reacted quicker to certain things, and currently you pace yourself a little differently. We're just going to say differently. There's been a lot of healing. There's been a lot of, like, maybe I could give people the chance. maybe I could educate them about what's an acceptable surprise, what's not. So it's kind of like, you know, acceptable surprise. Somebody wants to take you out to dinner to a nice place that you haven't been to before. And you're like, oh, I wasn't doing anything tonight. That's acceptable. Let's do that. That sounds fun. Unacceptable surprise. Maybe you have a partner who went ahead and bought a house without your approval and even asking if you liked it first. And they're thinking, you're going to love this. And you're like, maybe not. That's a big ticket item. That's a long-term thing. I don't know if I do like that. That might be an unacceptable. It's like depends on you. I feel like there's going to be like a variety of responses to that. There's acceptable and then there's unacceptable, in my opinion. So, I don't know why I'm going to add this, but I am going to add this. When it comes to like surprises, somebody, like when people are in a partnership and somebody goes ahead and makes a big purchase like that, like buying a house, I personally think that's a red flag. Just gonna throw that out there. I feel like that's a red flag thing. I don't think that's a good thing. I feel like over time you're gonna find out that that's more of a control issue and that's more of a manipulation, and I don't think that's good. We're gonna put that to the side. I'm just gonna get right off the soapbox about that because I've seen people do things like that. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's a positive thing. Whatever's going into this situation, whoever it is, if it's a romance thing, if it's a work thing, whatever you got going on, you got these two cards coming in. Anytime I see these two come together, it's very interesting. Because it's kind of like the best of times and the worst of times. It's kind of like, you know, having that partner and having all of this passion for them, and then they're just doing things on their own, and you're just like, I don't understand what they're doing, but it works out. But then it's like, it's very infuriating and very exciting. It's very hot, cold, hot, cold. This is a very weird combination. This is one of those times where I know you're Aries, and Aries is fire. You got to do things the way you're going to do things. But this is one of those moments, if this is happening, especially if we keep going in this reading, and the farther we get in the reading, you're like, yeah, this is happening. You want to kind of step back and really kind of sort out what's going on here. You might want to get that friend who kind of overanalyzes, if you will. It may sound ironic, but if you have a friend that's an overanalyzer, you might want to run this by them and see what happens when they overanalyze it, to see what they come up with, because they might see things that you don't. There might be things here that don't have to be aggravating, or things that just seem aggravating that are actually red flags, or things that might be like, well, I see how that's aggravating, but maybe if we handle it this way, maybe that could go differently. Maybe you could gather more information, and it doesn't have to be that infuriating. So if you have that friend that's an overanalyzer, this might be the time to kind of call on them and suffer through the conversation to see what they can see that maybe you don't. Could be good or bad. Because I'm getting here, it gets very hot, it gets very cold. And I get, like, again, this is why I'm saying it's very cold. It's like when it's on, it's great. When it's off, like, where are they? Where is everything? Like, it's either everything is happening or nothing is happening. It's all great. It's all fun. It's completely boring. It's like, it's like hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. It's one of those things where I feel like you want to move forward, but it's like I can only get so far, and it's like I come to the end of my chain, and it's like, oh, like, oh, I only got so far. That hurt. Like, it's kind of like that. You want to lead. And they're saying there might be a way for you to lead this a little bit differently. Aries is one of those signs, if nobody else is leading, I feel like you just lead. I feel like Aries is also the one who doesn't really want to lead all the time, but won't follow a fool either. Wants your say, as long as you're believing in the direction and people are listening to you and taking in your opinion, you can follow to a point. You don't want to totally lead usually, but you want to lead to a point. Some Aries are more leaders than not, so it depends on you. But I'm getting, to get this to go better, we got to get more information, because something here isn't right. That Devil and the Lovers card together, I don't like how that adds up. That's just not something that makes sense. I feel like you're also putting in a lot of work, and you're trying to help the situation actually thrive. You're trying to do the long game. Smart, makes sense. But something, I feel like there's something here that isn't right, that might be accepted, that shouldn't be accepted. Typically when Aries is putting up with that, they're not seeing what's not right. I mean, we all have our moments where we don't see what's right in front of our face. You know, one of those moments where you're like, where'd my pen go? I can't find it. And it's literally like right there in front of you. This could be one of those moments. We all have those moments. It happens sooner or later. And if it hasn't happened for you yet, good for you. It will. One day it'll happen. Don't worry. It will. Because I feel like you're putting in a lot of effort, but something isn't making sense here. Something isn't right. And I feel like somebody might be moving things fast enough so you're not catching on to something that's happening right under your nose. Which, when it comes to Aries, if somebody's pulling a fast one right under your nose, when you do find out, they're not going to like what happens next, because that is not usually a happy moment for Aries. Just saying. If they're pulling a fast one, they're going to regret it. I give you that. So I don't know what's going on just yet. We got to get a little further down the road, but something is happening here. Might not be malicious, might not be intentional, might just be something like, oh wait, if you add this in, if you realize that this is factoring in here, all the rest of this makes sense, what's really going on. So if we're going to make it really easy, if you're dating somebody, for example, and just every now and then they disappear, and you're just like, that's frustrating, what's going on? And they just, every now and then, they're like, I gotta go, and they just disappear. And maybe you've been dating them for a couple months even, and they just, every now and then, they're like, I just gotta go. And then somebody else says, well, you really should find out what that is. Like, at least you should be able to get like even a minimal explanation. And you find out maybe that this person that you're dating, they don't talk about certain things until they get to know people better. And one of the things they're not talking about is they have maybe a child, or they have a relative, child or relative, however that works, that has special needs, and then when that person needs them, then they need them and they just need to go. And that's what's going on. It might be like, I didn't realize that was happening, but now that I realize that is happening, it makes sense, and now I can make allowances for that. Maybe I can even help if this person needs that much to you. What's going on here? There's a next level coming in with this surprise thing. That moonlight thing seems... I feel like that's one of the reasons it's hot, cold, because something here is hidden in the moonlight. Something here is hidden in the moonlight, and it's not coming forward. It's not apparent yet. But something here, once you get the next level of information, it changes the whole structure of what's going on. I feel like there's something that's not right here. And whatever you're dealing with, whether it be a person or a situation, it does feel like it can't talk about it, or it can't explain it, or it's not supposed to. There's some type of restriction that I don't feel like... I don't think that you would view it the same way. Let's leave it at that. Whether it should be there or shouldn't be there, I don't know. It's a reading. But I don't feel like you would agree that they can't talk about it. I don't think you would agree with that. They may have reasons where they think they can't. You may disagree with those reasons, is what I'm getting. So whether it's this, that, I don't know. When this next level comes in, it's like the foundation is finally being seen. What's making the situation what it is, or like that mystery, the mystery is showing up. Like this is the mystery being like coming to light. Kind of like we're going through the moon here. This is the moon setting and the sun rising. Like once the day comes in, we can see everything that's actually there. Now, excuse me. Whatever the situation is, I feel like it's a very good situation. It's not bad. I don't think it's really bad. There will definitely be points of contention here where not everything is, sunshine rainbows, if you will. Not everything is. Not in this situation. The question is, the things that are not to your liking, I feel like I need to kind of evaluate, like on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad are they? Also, on a scale of realistic, where do they fall? Like, this is a normal thing. People have some type of issues in their life. As far as issues go, is this considered a bad one? Or is this considered a mild one? Where would you put that? So whatever this is, I keep getting like this analogy. So like, I'm going to use the dating thing again. This does not have to be a romance thing, but it seems to be the easiest way to get the energy across. So say you're dating someone, and you find out they have a child with special needs, and they have to go. Every now and then they just have to go when they have to go. That's just what it is. Some people may see that as a burden. Other people might see that as kind of like, this shows that person's character, and this shows their loyalty and their devotion to those they love. I'm not going to say there's a right or wrong answer to that. It's you deciding how you feel about it, because by doing your honest work and how you feel about it takes you to the next place with this, whether this is for you or this is not for you. personally, like if I'm going to do a comparison, something like that, somebody who's very devoted to their child, I kind of put that in the positive category. It's not like you're dealing with a compulsive liar, you know, which would sink the ship in 2 seconds, not for nothing. Or worse, the person you care about is cleaning up the mess of a compulsive liar. That would be its own little thing. Like, that would be a bad thing. That, like, if I'm looking at this like, oh no, they're taking care of somebody that, like, their child who has special needs, and they're very responsible and very loyal, to me that's like a couple, that's like 10 points to the column, the positive column, in my opinion. And there's only 10 points in that column. So so I'm just saying, it's up to you how you feel about that. Because they're saying, look at the situation for what it is. What does the situation say about the character of the situation? Well, if it's a person, the character of the person; the situation, the character of the situation. What type of value is what's going on showing you that is here? Maybe it's not perfect and shiny and new. It's not a new car driving right off the lot the first day. Maybe it's not. But if it's a beautiful car and it's still very reliable, it's just not perfect. It doesn't have the sunroof and the beautiful stereo and all that other bell whistle thing going on there. Maybe it doesn't have all those bells and whistles, but it's beautiful and it's reliable, and I enjoy driving it. What value is that for you? I'm comparing people to cars now. Well, I guess I am. I've been talking about this, but like, the answers are within. What does it say? Take shelter? Taking shelter, the answers are within. So you have to decide for yourself. There's no wrong answer. There's no feeling bad about whatever answer, or guilting yourself into doing this or doing that. There's no need to guilt yourself into anything. It's just about how you feel about it. Where do you honestly fit? If you're looking at the situation, whatever it may be, and it doesn't have to be the analogy I gave, it could be anything, and you're like, I understand, but that's going to take up a lot of their time. I don't really see how I fit there. I don't really know if that's really something for me. If that's your honest answer, there's nothing wrong with that. This might not be the situation for you, and that's okay to address that and to accept that and to move on from it. The answers are within. There's no right, wrong answer to this. There's just, there's just how you feel about it, and you coming to that and feeling like, all right, I've looked at it. This is a good person, but I just don't think this is the life for me. And deciding that now. Because you're Aries. The truth will come forward sooner or later. Trying to get yourself to accept something because you feel like you're supposed to isn't going to work. Accepting how you actually feel and moving forward from that will work. What is this over here? Whatever's going on with this situation, I feel like I'm going to find something out that I don't like. They're warning about trying to force yourself to be at peace with something that you're not. Acknowledging it versus ignoring it are totally different things, obviously. Obviously, I said that out loud and I'm like, well, that's painfully obvious. But like, acknowledging it, see, there's acknowledging it but still ignoring it at the same time. It's like acknowledging something is happening but not really thinking about it. That's a version of ignoring it. Like, even though you could say like, yeah, I knew that was happening, but if you don't really feel it out, you don't think about how that applies to your life, that's a version of ignoring it, if you follow me. Looking at it and addressing it and really letting yourself go through the motions, there's going to be parts here that you really don't like, is what I'm getting. It doesn't mean this situation has to end, but whatever it is, I feel like I have to address the part that I don't like. It doesn't mean you have to talk to whoever. Doesn't mean you have to be public about how you feel. You just got to sort it out for yourself. That does not make you a bad person. If you see something and you're like, this person, maybe I've seen this with other people. This person has a lot of kids, and you're like, oh, I should be okay with that. I should be accepting. But the more you get into it, the more you're like, this is a lot. This is not what I'm used to. I don't feel like I fit here. And if that's how it is, and you're like, the more you try to force yourself to fit, the more painful it's going to be. Maybe it's not really a situation you're supposed to be a part of, just to be fair. And it's kind of like, well, if this was different, this would be different, but this is how it is, and I don't feel like this is for me. And respectfully kind of like letting it go, maybe that is the right thing to do. And then the person who does fit it can come in and they can mesh in the way they're supposed to. It's accepting. It's what comes after this. This is weird. Because it's kind of like getting through the fog will give you that new start that you're looking for. This situation has to be evaluated, and it has to, like, I have to go through the hard feelings of, like, what do I really think about it? And one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to double down and, like, yep, I know what this is. I'm actually cool with it. I'm with it. I thought it out. I thought about all the good and bad that would happen here. This is for me. Let's go. Or you're going to be like, you know, I went through that whole same process, and this isn't for me. So I'm going to let this go, and I'm going to go in the direction I want to go. The point of this reading is to help you not just to go along with something because it feels like I'm supposed to, but to, like, look at it, go into those deep energies and go, is this where I really want to be? It's not bad to accept that this isn't what you want if this isn't what you want. But some of you might be like, yeah, but I feel like a jerk if I do that. Well, it's not that bad. Because it's like some of this isn't right. Some of this, the energy isn't quite there. There's a lot more coming through this. All the layers that you're finding, the base part, there's many, many more things coming in later. This is just the surface level. This is just the beginning part of how this situation was built. There's a lot more. So, like, you saw the foundation, but there's rooms, there's levels, there's an outside, there's a driveway, like, there's neighbors. Like, there's a lot more to the situation than just the basement. And it's kind of like, if you're already having issues with the basement, maybe that's like saying, well, all right, if you're kind of like, I don't know if I want this because the basement isn't what I want, the rest of this may not fit either. And it's just realizing that, like, there's a lot more to this. And at this point in the situation, if this is hot, cold, and then you find out why it is, giving yourself that honest energy to, like, all right, I rolled with it, I was respectful with it, and if it's not for you, then that's okay, and being okay with that and letting it go. It's not going to be that way for everybody, though. Some of you are going to go through it and be like, you know what, no, this is for me. This, I am okay with this. I'm all right with there being more energy here. There's going to be more surprises, but I feel like I'm okay with it. Let's go. I'm for it. Some of you are going to feel that way, but only you are going to know after you sort it out internally. Again, your opinion doesn't have to be public. Why you feel the way you feel doesn't have to be public, but by you coming into your center and really feeling it out and deciding where you really are with the situation, it'll help you get there a lot faster. I was kind of cringing at this, but I'll also say this. Some of you might try to do the right thing. I've seen people try to do the right thing and they're forcing themselves in a position that they don't want to be in because they feel it's the right thing. It usually has a shelf life. Keep that in mind. Just keep that in the back of your mind. A lot of times people, when they force themselves to do the right thing, a lot of people, not all people, but a lot of people, and I feel like Aries is one of those people, if you really try to force yourself to do something you feel is the right thing, it may have a shelf life. You know if that's true or not. All right, I'm going to shut this down here. Hope that helps. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. This is James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below. Same email. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.